Well, just talking about it, back to school is always a nerve-wracking time, but this year, even more tense as parents deal with sending their kids to class or organizing learning at home. Personal injury lawyer Jasmine Daya joins us now to explain what parents need to know from a legal point of view. Jasmine, great to talk to you, and we should remind our viewers that we're talking to the entire country, but a lot of our examples are going to be focused on Ontario. So let's start with going into the classroom in Ontario. If a student contracts COVID-19 while on school property, is the school liable?
The school can be liable. So if someone contracts COVID, unfortunately, despite all the precautions that the schools are taking, they can start a lawsuit. The issue will come to whether the lawsuit will be successful, and that will require an examination on whether the schools and the school boards were following the policies and the guidelines that have been set out by the government as well as the health officials.
All right, here's another scenario. What if you're asked to sign a waiver before sending your child back to school?
Well, in fact, there have been a few schools that have been asking parents to sign waivers or legal guardians of children to sign waivers. And that will come down to whether the waiver is enforceable. So I would recommend that if a school requires a parent or legal guardian to sign a waiver, just like when we send our children to extracurricular activities, you have to sign away the right to sue if there's negligence. It doesn't always mean that that waiver is enforceable. So as I was saying, I recommend looking at the waiver. You can talk to a legal professional, but I wouldn't be too concerned because I don't believe that a court is going to say that it was an enforceable waiver. However, this is a novel area. The courts have yet to see this issue and yet to decide upon it.
All right, some families are choosing to keep their kids at home in learning pods or micro schools. Talk to me about that scenario in the province of Ontario.
So also known as pandemic pods, these little groups are forming so that kids can learn together in small groups. So they still have the socialization, but they are learning remotely. So they're not in the school environment. And some parents feel more comfortable about doing this. They also have the ability sometimes to rotate among different homes so that the parents can work and they're not at home doing virtual learning all week. As we remember, that was not easy last spring. I have 3 kids and I recall how difficult that was. So this enables them maybe to rotate and learn at home and not in the school environment. But there are some liability issues to consider. First of all, if the home is considered to be operating more in a school environment, more of a business environment, the insurer could deny any claims arising from any incidents that occur. So usually if someone were to injure themselves on your property, your home insurer may pay the claim. However, in this case, maybe not. And then the bigger issue is that if someone contracts COVID, a child, and if they making it worse, pass it on to others that may have pre-existing conditions, have a very bad reaction to the COVID virus. The problem with this is that the home insurer has exclusionary clauses. And so the homeowner that was hosting this pandemic pod may not be covered and may actually have to pay for the claim from their own pocket. So just something really important to be aware of.
These are not your father's back-to-school issues. Jasmine Daya, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.